So everybody has to have a golf tournament. So we have a golf tournament.
Do you make any money in the golf tournament?
Yes, actually we do. Because
Okay.
that's how the Kauffman Fund was started, was by doing golf tournaments and giving the money away to other
It's
people.
kind of part of your DNA. Hello, Sheila. Welcome to Grow Healthy, Help People, our podcast from Accordis. How's your day going?
Going well. Thank you for having me.
I want to know all about the Kauffman Fund, but also I want to know all about your story. So why don't you start off and tell me how you got into the nonprofit space? There's a lot of people that have varying entry paths into the nonprofit space. I'd love to know, what was your entry path into this kind of work?
So actually, I'm married to a veteran. My husband
Okay.
served 20 years in the Air Force, so my work experience is very vast, very, very vast. Our last duty station was actually at Whiteman Air Force Base, and I started working at a college that's right by the base, University of Central Missouri. And with that, I just found my passion and found my love of helping others. And so I worked there for 23 years. And while I was there, I was helping first generation low income college students. I was an academic advisor, I was a compliance officer for a grant, I was a professor, was doing all kinds of great things. But I helped to bring a grant to the University of Central Missouri to help veterans who wanted to go back to school. And then in 2020, the grant that I was working on, we lost funding. So a very good friend of mine from St. Louis said, "Hey, I know you've done a lot of great work with veterans. There's a program to help veterans with employment because I have an HR background. Why don't you move back to St. Louis?" My husband and I are both from St. Louis, and so we moved back in 2020, and I started working at St. Patrick's Center with their homeless veterans reintegration program. So I was helping veterans who were dealing with housing insecurities find employment. So I partnered with the people who were working on the housing. So, they got to have the job in order to keep the housing. And so that started me. And then I got to Kauffman Fund by volunteering for their Food for Vets program because it worked perfectly. I'm dealing with folks, dealing with housing insecurities, and started doing that. And then all of a sudden, here I am as the very first executive director of the Kauffman Fund, first paid employee of the Kauffman Fund. And so, yeah, so my journey was a very long one.
So you got into the nonprofit space through the education job you had, then the
Hmm.
VA world, and then your husband is a veteran as well. And so
Yes.
then you end up in this space full time. You and I were talking earlier, and you explained there's a major gap. Tell us about the gap between reality of a veteran and the VA and how they can receive other services that they need desperately.
Right. So most people assume that all veterans can get services from the VA, and that's actually not true. First of all, a veteran has to have served so many consecutive months of active duty service. So most of your reservists and National Guards won't qualify for the VA.
Okay.
And then you have to have a certain discharge level. So you cannot have a dishonorable discharge or anything like that. So not all veterans qualify for VA care. And then there's a lot of mistrust with the VA. My
Hmm.
husband alone, he retired in 2005, and he did not register with the VA until 2023. And that wasn't because his wife's been working with veterans and kept telling him to. No, it was because one of the Kauffman Fund volunteers who worked at the VA said, "Get over here and do this now." And so that's how come he did it. But
Was it because of difficulty or fear or just didn't get around?
his dad was a veteran, and his dad had some bad care through the VA system here in St. Louis, and so he didn't want to deal with that. And he always had another job to where he had insurance, and so he just didn't want to deal with it. Yeah, and there's a lot of myths about the VA. There's some folks that we work with who go to the VA for everything, and then there's others who will not even touch foot onto the property. So we're trying to fill in those gaps for all veterans.
So what are some of the ways the Kauffman Fund steps into those gaps?
So yeah, we offer 8 different programs. Our biggest program is actually our dental program. So with our dental program, less than 5% of veterans actually qualify for dental care, and which is unbelievable through the VA. And so we are trying to help that. We work with some dental schools and that here in the St. Louis area. But then we also do legal chiropractic referrals, the mental health program. Family members, such as myself, cannot go to the VA for care. And so our mental health program, we're helping the family as well. We also do 6 food events a year where we give out a week's worth of groceries to include proteins and produce. We also are a certified IRS tax site because there are different rules for veteran retirement. And so we specialize in veteran care. So we do that. Christmas trees, we give out Christmas trees every year. And then also we give out brand new winter gear to those veterans who are dealing with housing insecurities.
So you guys do a bunch of things. Sounds like when you
Yes.
see a need, you jump in and meet it. Yeah, I heard someone say a long time ago, if you want to know how to help, just find a need and meet it. I love
Right.
that approach of you guys just jumping in and figuring out the need and meeting the need. What
Yes.
is the population you serve today?
So currently we serve 90 miles around the Gateway Arch. So that means that we are in Missouri and Illinois. We last year served 2,000 veterans, which is amazing given that we are still classified as a small nonprofit. And we this year plan on, we probably will hit 3,000, maybe even 3,500 because of the demand right now.
So there's a lot of needs there. How do
Mhm.
you guys meet those needs and what funding sources do you have to meet the needs?
So we're very fortunate to have a lot of volunteer professionals to help us. So we have volunteer dentists, lawyers, mental health professionals, chiropractic professionals that are helping us to try to meet those needs. That's a big portion of it. But then funding wise, we we do not have any federal dollars coming in yet. We're working on some. We have some
That
state
can be a
tax.
double-edged sword, right?
I
It's
know, I
helpful,
know.
but there's a lot of strings attached.
Yeah, luckily I have a lot of federal grant experience, and
Experience,
so
yeah.
that's going to be helpful. But we have the only state funding that we're receiving is some tax credits that we are receiving, and then the rest of it is through corporate and individual donors, and we're just very fortunate to have a lot.
I love the world you're in there. My company, Accordis, we're a back office for lots of different organizations, nonprofit organizations, about 100 different organizations. And I love the fundraising strategy component of what we get to do with lots of organizations. Talk to us about your fundraising strategy. A lot of organizations have three big grants and they get three grants every year, but you guys are kind of on the hustle side of things, which is individuals, corporations, probably some small foundations are giving some donations slash grants in different ways. Tell us more about that.
Yes. So, and of course, fundraisers. So everybody has to have a golf tournament. So we have a golf tournament.
Do you make
Um,
any money in the golf tournament?
yes, actually, we do.
Okay.
Because that's how the Kauffman Fund was started, was by doing golf tournaments and giving the money away to other
It's
people.
kind of part of your DNA.
Yeah, it is.
Yeah.
And so they started
Okay.
that in 1990, and we didn't actually start programming until 2014. So lots of experience with our golf tournament. Casino night, car show, trivia night, blacklight bingo. So those are our big fundraisers. But then we are very fortunate to have some big sponsors through some corporations. We're very fortunate there. And then because Wayne Kauffman is very well connected in the St. Louis area, we have a lot of small donors.
Okay. And you mentioned Wayne Kauffman is a veteran who started the fund in the
Yes.
90s. Is that right?
Yes. 1990, Wayne Kauffman, who is a decorated Vietnam veteran, started the Kauffman Fund in memory of his brother Ralph, who had passed away, who was an Air Force veteran. So Ralph was very big in the community. So somebody asked Wayne to take on some of Ralph's duties of sponsoring golf tournaments. And so that's what started it.
That's great. What do you see as the biggest challenges ahead? What do you think is the next hurdle you're going to have to jump over?
We're seeing a lot of challenges right now. With all the current cuts to the VA, the increase in demand for our program has increased greatly. I'm trying to figure out what the percentage was for the first 6 months. But then also at the same time, talking to other nonprofits, the funding is being cut from some of those bigger grants. And so a lot of us are out there hustling, trying to find the funding.
Yeah, I don't know if you've noticed this, whether or not you like the, US aid cuts or don't like the USAID cuts, they are slowing down funding, whether it is direct grants or funding to organizations that would give grants. We're
Hmm.
seeing that for a lot of clients that we have is they got this grant for the last 15 years and it just stopped. They just got a
Hmm.
letter last week that it is stopping at the end
Hmm.
of this year. And then navigating, okay, how do we get through this? So we love the strategy of, okay, now how are we going to backfill that? What are we going to
Right.
do? Are you feeling a little bit of that as well?
Yes, and that's why we're actually looking at this federal grant. Even with that, became aware of this federal grant last year, but then we were told they weren't going to release the funding, and then they did, and we were given 6 weeks to get it finished. And so we're hustling, trying to get that done. But yeah, no, we're out there. We're looking for other funding. I have probably applied for 9 grants already this year, and 7 of them were ones that we've never applied for before, just trying to find that new funding sources. And then we're also working on the corporate sponsors as well, trying to find some new corporate sponsors to help us out.
Yeah. They're fortunate to have you. You know how to do grants. That's a whole different skill set.
It
It's
is a
not
different skill
the
set.
everyday executive director of a nonprofit that knows how to or can figure that out. That's a lot.
Yes, but my also coming from the education background, so we have some interns working with us this summer, and so I'm like, you're on this grant committee. We're all going to work on this together, and so I'm trying to teach others about it, and like, don't assume that everybody knows your background. You gotta tell them precisely, quickly. You gotta have the numbers. You gotta have the story.
Gotta have it. Get to the point.
Yep.
Sheila, thanks so much for our conversation today. The Kauffman Fund is a great organization. We'll link to it in the bio of this podcast. Thanks for joining
Thank you.
today. Grow healthy, help people. That's our mission statement at Accordus. You started off, Sheila, saying, I just like to help people.
Hmm.
And we're the same way. We want to grow healthy and help people in everything we do, our staff, our clients, the people they serve. We're a back office for lots of great organizations. And Sheila, it's been a pleasure talking with you today. I
Thank
hope you have a
you.
great day. Thank you
Thanks.
all for watching today.
Thank you.